40-40 last year. It was odd. It was odd. That's what I'll say. It was odd.
So
Everybody was there. Everybody from that podcast, almost. Everybody from my podcast, almost. A friend's holiday party. It was a great party. Rory did some stupid, goofy white boy. By then, Rory had to stick to whatever lie he came up with about the Robert Glasper. So he had to show out. So that was his time to show out, which looked weird because we were just at the Robert Glasper show. So that's when I removed myself. That was my last time speaking to Rory. I told him I'm never speaking to him again from that point. I was too doofy, too childish. Can't invest.
So there was some type of standoff.
It wasn't a standoff. I went over there and attempted to say hello. It looks weird. We're all together. We all have hung out numerous times. We all here. It looks weird if you don't say hello. I went over there. I said hello. He chose that time to attempt to make a thing.
Maul was there? You said everybody from the show was there.
No, Maul wasn't there.
That's right. On a Twitter space not too long ago, Joe Budden discussed a night where him and Rory faced off. For those of you that don't know, the two have been at odds ever since Joe Budden and Rory parted ways over business disagreements due to the Joe Budden podcast. And apparently the two came in close contact with each other not too long ago, and it resulted in Rory crashing out on Joe Budden and telling him to get the hell up out his face. But here's the thing. Many members of both podcasts were there, so you had some type of movie-esque showdown between two of the biggest podcasts in the hip-hop space. And we're going to zoom out and unpack what this means and how the two men eventually faced off. This seems to come from when Joe Budden went on Smoke Dizz's podcast and said that him and Rory were hanging out.
Piecing it up. You know, we go outside in New York, guys, and you're fucking Joe Budden. So everybody sees you and, you know, heard you was out with Rory the other day.
What other day? And where you hear that from?
Niggas outside.
Man, me and Rory caught Robert Glasper showed up a couple weeks ago. I love Robert Glasper. He's got an amazing album out right this second. So that was a great show that I didn't know was even happening at Blue Note until Rory told me. But that was good. But I try not to talk about none of that. Like, I understand. I understand the position he's in. I understand what they're doing. I want to respect it. So we don't discuss that. But yeah, there's no problem.
Now, if you look at that, it might look odd. As Rory left the Joe Budden podcast with Maul, and Maul took Rory's side when Joe Budden decided to suspend him, saying that he wasn't going to stand for that, and he took a stance against his long-term friend. So, by virtue of that, Rory hanging out with Joe Budden looked absolutely crazy. But was Joe Budden telling the truth, or was he lying to misrepresent things? I'm not saying he did, but I do know Joe Budden is a master of narratives. Hell, he might be better at making narratives than me. Haha. But who knows if Joe Budden was telling the truth or not? Did Rory intentionally set up a meeting with Joe to go to Robert Glasper behind Maul's back? Or did they just happen to be in the same spot at the same time? You know, Robert Glasper is a very famous artist, especially amongst the hipster crowd like Joe Budden and Rory. They're kind of musical hipsters, let's be real. And one thing we also have to take into account is Smoke Dizza, his role in all of this. Because I gotta be honest, that whole situation with Joe Budden on the podcast with Smoke Dizza, it seemed a little bit contrived. Like, Smoke Dizza comes out of nowhere and he's like, oh, I saw you hanging out with Rory. It seemed like, honestly, like Joe Budden said to Smoke, bring this up on the podcast. Let's make a moment. And I remember around that time, before Joe Budden would appear on Smoke Dizza's podcast, this is, I think, when Maul had appeared on Smoke Dizza's podcast, Rory said he would do Smoke Dizza's podcast, and he never went on Smoke Dizza's podcast. And I'm wondering if it's because of this situation that didn't paint Rory in the light that he would have liked. Well, the two faced off, and I know this happened for a fact because at a live show, Rory would say that they did face off and Damaris was there, and that it apparently got real heated. And Joe Budden says it was at this point he decided to distance himself from Rory. And I'm looking at Rory's actions and I'm thinking maybe he went nuclear because he knew any type of relationship with Joe Budden could be detrimental to his reputation. Joe Budden would spin it in a way. And I'm largely referencing this because I kind of feel in some ways my movements with regards to having Joe on my Twitter spaces overlaps, because I noticed that if you're around Joe, he will paint things to look a certain way to suit whatever narrative fits him. The truth won't matter. And being that he's armed with a fan base that eats out of the palm of his hands, he can say, oh, this happened. So even by being in his space, even by agreeing to do certain things with him, you have to realize you're already playing this game. It's like mental quicksand. You take a step, you think you're moving, you think your feet are above ground, but then slowly you start to sink and sink and sink. And then you're like, damn, it's too late, I'm stuck. So the best thing to do, and what I think Rory was doing there, was go nuclear, damage the relationship, make it look absolutely crazy, because Joe Budden will leave you out there to dry, and he will have you looking crazy in front of his fan base and your fan base. He'll make the optics look a certain way, and that, I believe, is what led to the face-off at the 40-40 Club that night. But let me know what you think. Did you know about this incident? Did you think that Joe Budden was playing a game? Joe Budden would later use this and say that Rory was in a car with him and was talking about a deal and said that he got close to 10 million. He would mobilize his fan base against his other ops, Rory, Maul. This is what he does, man. You got to watch it. I see everything. I see how this goes. But that's my video for today. I got more content coming about the breakup. And for you people in the comment section or the fans of Joe Budden saying, Danny, why are you digging up old stuff? When have I never dug up old stuff? One of my earliest videos was me talking about episode where Joe Budden was called Pebbles by Rory. Don't get it confused. Just because I do topical news events doesn't mean I go back in the past. So I love this channel. I don't have to just follow information from today. I can do deep dives in the past. I'm sorry, man. The science just doesn't happen in real time. Science goes historical. So I don't want to hear it. Go cry to your mamas. Go walk your dog. What is it Drake told Joe Budden? Have a drink, papa. Have a drink, papa. All of you have a drink. And calm down and enjoy the content, man, because I'm putting my hard work behind this. All right, y'all. That's my video for today. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.